Ugo Died was a very warm person, very jovial, always willing to help, and he's one never to get into a fight with anyone. He was a perfect gentleman, to say the least.
Ugo, Ugo was a man's man, really, in the sense that he was so laid back. Sometimes he was so laid back and had time for everybody. There was nobody exception. But when it was time to be serious, he was serious.
I don't know, I don't have words to describe him. Who is a gentleman to the core, very honest, and so very, very caring. He's my only son and takes very care of me. He doesn't play with me. And he's just all I have, all and all. It's everything to me.
He's one that, even when there is a dull moment around, he'll just crack you up and just relax you.
My mom once told me when I was a kid that a friend is a gift so rare, a treasure beyond compare. If you find a friend, a true friend in the, you make sure you try and keep that friend. And I was lucky to have, or I found Ugo to be that kind of person. He was someone that will be there for you, no way, even though, he was a true friend. What you see is what you got.
His wedding was something we all looked forward to, because having been the only brother that we have, and for him getting married, it was quite an exciting moment for us all. So we went all out to make sure that it was a grand ceremony, and indeed it was, because the testimonials to it were that a lot of people came and they were quite happy, said it was all well organized, and they've never seen such a well organized event, and where everyone was well taken care of, and you could see how happy he was on the day. It was something he was always looking forward to. And as a matter of fact, Inam became part of a cliche when we saw him, because of his, the usual thing of a vote of thanks. And he said in his words, and I quote, "I've always looked forward all the days of my life to the day I will say this." And everyone was like, "What was it you've been looking for?" And he said, "I like to say thank you to everyone. As a matter of fact, I will say myself and my wife." And that's the way he emphasized it. And each time he will mention something, he say, "I like to say thank you. Oh no, myself and my wife." It got to a point that everyone in the halls there echoing it. When he just say myself, everyone would echo and my wife in such a funny way to show how funny he was. And it went well.
I think he was going to be very happy anyway, marrying the girl that he loved and cherished. But extra happiness came from the people that were there. The people that were there were just the right people he thought needed to be there, that would make his day. So Thursday we met at the church where he got married, and he came to pick me up. He was from there. We did a few things, and then he said he was going to go and say thanks to some Greg, which was someone who contributed towards his wedding. So we went to see Greg. He was from seeing Greg. I says, your wife Joanne knew that it was me you were coming to see. If you've left since the afternoon, it would be best if when we get back, I said, look, oh, there he is, before I start going home, because I'm like that. So he says, okay. So we drove to his house, met his wife. I says, okay, hands over, it's time for me to go home. He says, nah, it's not going to allow me to go home. I said, oh, just call me a taxi. He says, no, taxis aren't allowed into our estate. So I'll have to drive you to where you can get a taxi. I said, don't worry about it, I'll just walk. He says, no, that's not how we do things here, but I'm going to have to take you to the taxi rank. You get a taxi and then it's just and I'll be back. So I said, okay. So we jumped in the car Then on approaching the taxi rank, there was a car that came in front of us, just parked in front of us. Our headlights were against the car, that's why I knew it was a car. It was a metallic blue car. And somebody dropped off from the car, so obviously that person was walking back to the estate. In my mind, in the car, I'm saying OZ, because that's what I call him, his nickname, OZ. Are you sure it's going to be safe to get a taxi from here? You know, see, they won't drive me into a bush and finish me off. He says, relax, man. It's safe. Just don't worry. Calm down. So as he opened this door to the world. I opened my door to the next thing I heard was, it's either who goes there or who's there. And gunshots immediately afterwards. Bah, bah. Next thing, Uzi was down. Ugo was down. And the individual that come down from the car that was parked in front just ran behind Ugo's car. As soon as he ran behind Ugo's car, I ran behind Ugo's car. And after a few seconds, I said, they shot Ugo. What's stopping them from coming around to shoot both of us? You know what? I'm going to run. So I got up, trying to use the car to shield me. I went down and started running. I said, even if they're going to shoot me, it's my back they will shoot. There's no way I'm going to stay here. So as I was running, he was then, and I said, I might as well just run back to his house and inform his wife.
It was about 10, to be precise, about 10:38 p.m. I'd actually retired to bed, and I got a phone call from Ugo's wife to say to me, beg your pardon, a friend came over and said to her that that there's been an accident involving Ugo. They said it was a motor accident, that there was a brake failure, and I just said to her, "There's a person still there?" And she said yes. I said, "Could I have a word with the person?" So she handed over the phone to the friend, and he asked if he confirmed that indeed I was Ugo's sister, and he said to me, he didn't know how to break the news to the wife that there's been an incident and Ugo had been shot. I never thought he was going to be shot as in shot dead.
Where's Ugo? Where's my husband? And at that moment in time, I didn't know how to explain. I was saying I was going to go and explain. I just got and I was so just quiet. And she kept on saying, "Look, if you guys are playing games with me, I'm not liking this game. You know, where's my husband? You know, you're here, he's not here." And she says, "No, I'm not liking this game." So she called Nkechi, who is Ugo's elder sister. Says, "Look, my husband said he was going to drop his friend. His friend is here, my husband is not here. I don't know what's going on." So Nkechi must have told her to pass the phone to me. So when he passed the phone to me, and I started explaining to Nkechi, I said, "Look, I'm meeting the wife for the second time. I don't know how to explain it to her, you know. What happened?" So I explained this situation, that Ugo was trying to get a taxi from me and he has been shot. As I was saying he has been shot, the phone went dead. So the phone went dead. I passed the phone back to Joanne, who was Ugo's wife. At the same time, the car that the brother and Joanne's brother and sister, because they were still staying over because it was just after the wedding, so they had drove up because we were already walking towards the estate exit. So they drove up and caught us, and I said, jump into the car. We jumped into the car, started driving back, and the next thing they sighted Ugo's car. So Ugo's car, and then the next thing they sighted his body on the floor. So they screamed, "Here!" And then although we came out, as we were coming out to approach the body, several policemen were approaching us. And then they came, the DPO said, yeah, we had a man had been shot. What happened? And with instinct or whatever, I just says, one of you shot my friend. And he says, one of you? I said, one of you guys shot my friend. He said, one of you? As in one of... Then I realized what I was talking about. He says, a guy in police uniform shot my friend. He said, are you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. Why so? He says, are you sure it's not somebody in black clothing with a police cutting? But at the time he was saying that, Joanne was more concerned about her husband on the floor. So Joanne says, all these ones you guys are saying, can you please help me carry my husband into the car? And let's see if you can take him to the hospital. So that's when that stopped a bit. So I helped with her brother, lifted Ugo into the car. The brother jumped into the driver's seat. Joanne jumped into the front seat. And the sister, she was wondering where she was going to stay. And Joanne just said, just stay anywhere in the car. And then they sped off.
And I was saying to myself, what kind of a human being who shoots another person in the chest? A harmless person at that. Little did we know at the time that, the bullet that, shot him that killed him, that went through the chest, exited at the back. It was that bad, and momentarily I had to, imagine the anguish, the pain, the suffering that this young man had to go through for no just reason before giving up the ghost. You will shoot somebody in the chest and he will exit at the back. It must have been really close range, and it must have been a deliberate thing. You must be well trained to do that.
Getting to the hospital, I met Nkechi. Nkechi was Ugo's elder sister. And Nkechi grabbed my hand and told me, tell me what happened. Because my brother is lying on the slab, lifeless. I'm explaining to Nkechi what happened. The DPO interrupted again, saying, I didn't tell you it couldn't be police officers or officers or people. I'm saying they might have been dressed in police uniform, but they're most likely criminals dressed in police uniform. I said, well, what you were telling me earlier was someone in black clothing with a police cutting. Says, no, it might be criminals dressed in police uniform. I said, okay. Anyway, that's what happened. I explained to everybody. So now I turned my attention to the doctor. I said, doctor, everybody's walking out of the theater room. What's happening? What's wrong with my friend? What are you guys going to do? It was when the doctor told me, there's nothing we can do. Ugo has passed on. That's when I just... at that time, my phones was ringing, text messages, I just couldn't answer.
And when the DPO himself appeared or came to the hospital, yes, he did. He came over to the hospital with the friend. That I also found very intriguing, and I did ask him. And I said to him, DPO, do you accompany every victim to the hospital? Because I'm a bit concerned and worried as to what you're doing here in the hospital. To that, he didn't have an answer for me. I also equally asked him, when he said to me that he was there and met my brother still alive and jacking, and I asked him why he did not rush him to the hospital. Because as far as I'm concerned, and I believe it also happens in Nigeria, in every country, it is a crime situation. It is for the police, since you found yourself there on the scene, to take the victim to the hospital. To some extent, and I know now, well, in Lagos State, I think they have removed, to some extent, the clause that says, every victim of gunshot wound should get a police report. But now the police was there. Why didn't you take the victim to the hospital? At least to allay the fears of the doctors or whoever that are still a bit, apprehensive of treating such incidents, to say, oh, I am a policeman and I brought this victim, so attend to him. You didn't do that. You were watching him die. And you said, you expected, that you told them to take him to the nearest hospital. Then I turned, I said, by the way, what were you doing at the scene? A whole divisional police officer. To some extent, in Nigeria, that you guys are like mini gods. Even when you come to the station where it's, your area, they hardly see you, and then you had to come out that night. He said to me, that he got a phone call. I said, from who? I said, if you got a phone call, no doubt, why didn't you send junior officers to attend to the phone call you received? Why didn't you send your patrol team? Why did you have to come yourself? He didn't answer me. And I turned again, I said to him, by the way, what are you doing in the hospital? That it's not a normal occurrence to see a divisional police officer with police officers in the hospital following a victim to the hospital. He didn't answer me. I asked again, I said, if I may rephrase, is this how you go with all victims to the hospital? He still didn't answer me. He answered to me, that they should have been there earlier, but that he had to wait for Ugo's friend because they took him to the police station as the witness, to make a statement. So he had to wait for him to finish his statement before bringing him to the hospital. And by the next morning, they called us to say, can we ask Ugo's friend to come back to make a statement, that he did not make a statement. Which I found very appalling. Apparently, I'm thinking, he may have gone back to his station, probably read the friend's accounts, same probably was also incriminating, and all of a sudden the statement developed legs and walked away from the station, and they asked that he should come back to make a statement, that he never made a statement. And I did remind him, I said, these were your words to me. You said you waited for the friend to finish his statement before bringing him to. How come you did not say the statement? So he said, could they bring the file that yes, he remembers him stating the address where he lived. And my husband now asked us, but I thought you said he didn't make a statement. How comes you now have the address where he lived? He didn't say anything. Now, a few days later, Ugo's friend had to go back. And unfortunately for the police, it was that same day 3 armed policemen to the teeth stormed his residence looking for him. And they were told that he's gone back. And they asked, why did he leave? Oh no, that was the exclamation, oh no, why did he leave? And I asked the question, if he did not make a statement, how did you get his details to locate his address and go looking for him, and why? Because he's giving you the information you wanted. Why go looking for him? What really, annoyed me, or what was quite nauseating, was that the PPRO of Lagos State, the name of Ngozi Brady, came on air, and even the print media, and was making callous statements, I'll call it, that it was not the police that shot at Ugo. This incident, as far as I'm concerned, is a very easy and clear, as crystal clear as can be, case, because this is a case perpetrated by the police himself. A young man, 5 days after his wedding, came to see a friend, and like you said, your organizations were the one that fought for the removal of roadblocks, and it was approved by the Inspector General of Police at the time. And these same people decided to be a law upon themselves and put up an illegal roadblock at the night. Not that they stopped him, not that they asked him to identify himself, not that they had any confrontation whatsoever, not that there was any form of conversation or pleasantry exchange, just that two young men pulled over by the corner of the street and going to get a taxi. And not that I'm aware at the time that there was a curfew in town to say that, they were violating the laws of the land at the time. And not that I'm aware also that there is only any law prohibiting citizens from moving about freely, no matter what time of the day it is in Nigeria as we stand today. But they came out, and the next thing they had was, who goes there? Apparently because they were doing something they were not supposed to be doing.
Ugo was a peaceful man. He was peaceful. So all we want is justice for him. We want justice for Ugo, because Ugo cannot hurt a fly. And I do not know why the police should shoot him. I don't know why they should shoot him, because I'm sure he did not say anything to them. He's quite a peaceful somebody. If they say stop, he will stop. I know he did not argue with them. They just shot him like that. So all I want now is justice for him. And I want his killers to be brought to book.
Justice for me would be if they eventually find the police officer, even if jailed for life. Because like I said, I come from we used to more of a civilized law and order in overseas, so I won't want an eye for an eye. I don't want to die. But if he's sent to jail for the rest of his life, they let him be sent to jail for the rest of his life. I know they don't operate a compensation system in Nigeria, so there will be no I don't know if they give compensation to the victim's family. But my ideal justice would be if the guy responsible for the death of Ugo is sent to jail for the rest of his life.
True justice is owning up to your actions, taking responsibility for your action. The culprits being brought to book, answer for what they've done. The organization to which the culprits represent, taking full responsibility. Apologizing to the family, not that your apologies will bring back Ugo, not that whatever compensation or whatever condolences will bring back Ugo, but let it be seen that you're doing something. We will and we are still calling on the Inspector General of Police. We did thank him for at least being human enough to set up the committee to look into the matter, but we're also appealing to him to see that the investigation is seen to its logical conclusion.
Outside the justice, it's also important for the police to rid itself as an institution of such bad eggs that mess around with their uniforms, their guns, and of course their office. So I think, just like my colleague said, we will do our best to ensure that not just that justice is done, but timely too.